So here we go, card number 5. And this one I'd like to sit down and do. Now the first thing we're going to do is put together our recipe again. This is a very, very simple card, but you get a fantastic result. The most important ingredient here is, well, first of all, we're going to use plain card. Plain card, I think it's about sort of 4 inches tall, that'll do. And then we're going to use, this is very important for this card, masking tape, removable masking tape. Inks, I think we'll go with a rainbow pad. This one's the foliage pad. I think we'll use that. And then I'm going to use a green, a bottle green, because there's no green in this ink pad. So I'm going to add some green, and that tones down the brightness of the rainbow pad. I also need makeup sponges. Look, I just take a makeup sponge and split them in 2. So we've got some makeup sponges to work with. And I would like to use a black archival ink pad, a black permanent ink pad. Then, of course, I need the stamps. And I'm just going to use a large larch tree and a small larch tree. And the most important ingredient for this card is time. So the first thing we want to do is put a piece of copy paper underneath the card so that we don't get it all over the mat again. And the whole idea with this card, we're going to create a kind of a sun ray effect. And it's going to be very, very simple. You have to start in one corner and then you end in the other corner. So just bear with me and I'll show you what I mean. We're going to take the low-tack masking tape, okay, and we're going to mask off an area like that. That's about right there, okay. And of course you can change this by moving the masking tape around, straightforward. Right, and then we're going to take our makeup sponge and our rainbow pad, and I think I will use the red area to begin with. It's important here that you keep your eye on the lid and check which area you're working in. I'm going to use this area here. Okay, and what we're going to do first is add a little bit of red, okay? To be honest, I did this twice, this card. I did it once to decide what I didn't like, and then I did it a second time. And once you've got once you've got all the mistakes all in a row, then you can go back and improve on the colours. And then that becomes your template, okay? But I'm working now off, I'm just working with a clean sheet of paper and we're going to start. So my first thing is, I'm going to just show you how to sponge, you see. You make a mushroom like this. Let's do this slowly. You make a mushroom with your makeup sponge. It's like so that there are no edges. And then you slowly and gently, you've got to make sure you haven't got any edges because the edges will create a lip. And then you slowly and gently start to add colour. So you start very, very lightly like this. And then if you want to, you can build it up, you see. Let's add a bit of red up here too. Okay. See, now that's quite light. If I want it to be darker, I'll just go over the same area again. You see? Like this. And I can travel in a little bit here. If I get a patch, then I need to just not press so hard. Do you remember when I was doing the brayering technique? And I said, when you get a line, don't panic, just lift off, don't press so hard, and then go over the same area again and again and again, very, very lightly. And it's no different with a sponge. If you get a patch or a stripe, don't panic, just don't press so hard, get rid of some of the ink, make sure your mushroom's okay, so to speak, and then just carry on, you see. The other thing worth mentioning at this stage is just remember that you're real close up, and we are our worst critics, aren't we? So once you've got a little bit of red going in there, then the next thing you want to do is add another colour. Now, I'm going to go with the green now. Let's take the bottle green and let's add another colour. turn the mushroom round. So use the other side of the sponge so you don't mix the colours. Otherwise you'll end up with mud, won't you? And this time I'm going to add a bit of green. See, this part here is actually, you don't realise this yet, you will in a minute, but this area I'm doing here is the land part. So I'm adding a bit of green here, okay? And we're going to add a little bit of green in this corner. Do you remember I said when we were setting up this card, I said time. Time is the most important element here. This takes time. But in addition, I have to say that it's also one of the most therapeutic cards that I've ever come up with. Now that red, to my mind, is a little bit bright. So what I want to do now is take the bottle green and tone down the red. You see, what you do is you go back over it slightly. See how it tones it down? It's really cool. And we're going to do the same thing in this corner. It just tones the red down, takes the brightness out of it. There we are. And the other thing is that you can always go back afterwards if you think, oh, that was a bit extreme. You can always go back. Now, once I've done that and I'm happy with that, then I'm going to lift this away, you see, and I've got the first section organised there. Let's have a look up closer, see if you can see that better. The thing about this is maybe you can recycle this if you feel the need. Me personally, I'm going to focus on this and use another bit. And then what we need to do next, you see, is do the next section. So we're going to cover this one up like that, along that edge. Now be careful when you put the masking tape down that you don't leave a white gap. Okay, it doesn't look right. It looks like you've missed a bit. So then you're going to do that, and then we're going to make our next ray, and the next one's going to go from the same place, and so we're going to go 1, 2, 3 up the side. So I would say about there is good. There is good. See, because the masking tape is removable, this is a piece of cake. So you're protecting one piece of work and you're moving into the next piece. What's important is that we create a contrast between these two bits now. So I think the next thing we want to do is go with a little bit of green in this corner. See, because it's the opposite of what we did before. So again, we make our mushroom and then in we go again. Now, let's try it again one more time together. You make your mushroom, make sure you've got no corners or edges, ink up, and then you just gently start to build up. So you go very lightly to begin with. Maybe meander up that edge there. This will be fun. It'll be lovely when it's done. Just, it takes time to build this picture. And it doesn't look like much of anything until it's almost finished. And then it's a real wow. Trust me on this one. I've seen the finished product. I've done it. Okay. So we're going to do a bit of green here. And then I think we'll do a bit of red. So we'll turn the mushroom round. Here we go again. Don't worry, I'm not going to do the whole card. I'm just going to show you. The other thing I learnt the hard way when I was doing the one that became my how not to do it card, okay, was I learned that you always close the ink pads. Like when you finish with the green, shut the green down and start with a new colour. So now we're going to do red, and I think I'll do a really dramatic bit of red here. There we go, up this side here. Remembering that this is the land section. That way, it all will become apparent later on. There, like that. The thing about sponging is it looks very easy, but it actually isn't as easy as it looks. I make it look easy, but it requires practice. And the tips that I can give you here are, if you're using a new ink pad, check it on a bit of scrap first. Make sure that you haven't got any big stripes. Make sure that the colour's what you want, okay? And then build up the colour. The other thing is, try not to drag the sponge. It doesn't work so well. Dob, 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 rather than drag, 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 if you know what I mean. Right, what other colours shall we use? I would suggest that we now go... See, we can go into another area of the ink pad. Let's have a look. Let's try a little bit of the orange for a bit of contrast. We'll take, there we go,